Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, next year is a pretty big one in American politics. It's the presidential election, which it rolls around every 4 years, and for a lot of people, it's the only time that they're going to vote. You might call it the Super Bowl of election days or Easter service of election days. All the butts are going to be in the seats, and everybody shows up, and I'm not a big fan of that. I would prefer people vote as often as they can whenever it's feasible to them. I get that, it's hard to get off work sometimes, and even then, to get a paid day off, that can ruin people. We all got bills to pay. But all that aside, I saw a lot of discourse this weekend, people yelling at each other back and forth about withholding their votes in the next election because they're upset with the current administration. Or at least, that's where the arguments seem to go. But before I get into this, I do need to stress Twitter is an awful place for sharing ideas and thoughts because people will strawman you a lot. They'll take a statement you've made and they will take the worst possible read of it that you could imagine. And they'll say, no, this is what they really mean by this. And then the next thing you know, for days, you've got people hounding your messages or your mentions saying that you're a bad person for believing this thing that you don't really believe. And that's definitely what's happening, this whole withholding your vote in the next election. When it seems like, to me, what it is telling your elected officials you're not going to vote for them unless they change their tune. And I don't see why that's a hard thing to grasp for some people. Just stop looking at this as an election thing, right? If you got a friend, someone you know, who, say they insulted you one way or another, they said something mean about a family member, or maybe they took something from you without your permission. Are you going to say something about it? Or are you just going to let them keep doing it and assume nothing is wrong? Right? I would imagine that what you would do is say something along the lines of, hey, I don't like this thing that you did. And if you keep doing this thing again, we're not going to be friends anymore. Why is it so hard to say that to an elected official? Right? Why is that such a hard thing to grasp? For you to call someone or write a letter to your representative or senator or whoever and say, hey, if you don't change your tune on this, we're not going to vote for you. I voted for you because I thought you were this type of candidate, and through your actions, you're showing me you're not. So unless you change this, I won't vote for you. That seems like a normal thing to do, right? Before you get into general elections, you have primaries where you can put up a different candidate against this person who's in a seat. You can say, your way of doing things is wrong. We don't like it. So we're putting up someone who we think is going to be better. And hopefully something good happens from that. You get someone who's a more viable candidate for your politics. But at the very least, the person who's in that seat, they're going to be afraid. They're going to say, oh, I'm not doing my job right. I might have to find a new job because I'm going to get fired because the people don't like me anymore. We all want to keep our jobs, right? We all got bills to pay. So I would imagine if you put heat on somebody to say, we'll fire you if you don't do what we ask, they might do what you ask. Now, all of this aside, what this boiled down to, people were saying this is don't vote in the general election. That's where a lot of people took this discourse. And I gotta say, I think that's really far from the truth. For a lot of these people who started this train of thought, I know most of them vote in every single election. And for those who are in the United States, I know they all vote Democrat in the general elections. That's the thing. When it comes to those, that's not really a who I want the most. That's a trolley problem. I know you know the trolley problem. There's the guy who's got the handle. 5 people are tied to one track, one person's tied to the other. And if you don't pull the lever, the 5 people get run over. But if you pull it, one person dies. This isn't a complex issue, right? A lot of people make this into some big moral, oh, but then I've got blood on my hands. The blood's already on your hands. You participate in this system every time you wake up, every time you cash a payroll check, every time you buy something, your taxes are fueling this system. So it's up to you to make the choice of who's going to get it. One person is going to go for 5 people. And if you don't participate, oh, well, I guess it's not your responsibility. You're not in any trouble because it wasn't you on the tracks this time. So your hands are clean from all that blood, right? Your inaction is an action. You need to participate in these systems as much as you can in any way possible. That way we can hopefully get better outcomes. It takes all of us putting pressure on these people to do that, and I hope you can figure that out. I hope you and the people around you understand that putting pressure on these elected officials is not saying you want the other guy to win. We want you to do your job better. That's it. I'm sure a lot of you get that, but if you know anybody who's confused about this, send them my way and hopefully we can change the minds. But I guess until then, y'all try to have a good day.